Hello, guys. Welcome back to another exciting episode. I'm thrilled to have you with us today. We've got some amazing discussions lined up that you definitely won't want to miss. So grab a seat, kick back, and let's dive right in. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. This is Emma, and you're listening to Let's Talk About English podcast.
Hey there, Emma. I'm so pumped for today's episode because we're going to help our listeners nail their next interview in English. We're going to cover all kinds of tips, phrases, and vocabulary that'll give them the edge they need.
Exactly, Ben. It's going to be super helpful, especially for those who want to feel more confident when facing that big job interview in English. We all know it can be a little nerve-wracking, right?
Totally. And you know, Emma, one of the things that people often struggle with is knowing which phrases to use. Like, should you go with something formal or is it okay to be a bit more casual?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about balance. You definitely don't want to sound too stiff, but at the same time, you don't want to be too laid back. You gotta find that sweet spot. But let's dive into some of the basic phrases that'll make you sound super professional, but still approachable.
I'm ready. Let's start with some key phrases for introductions. For example, when you're asked, "Tell me about yourself," you want to make sure you're giving a clear, concise answer. So instead of just saying, "I'm a software developer," you could say something like, "I'm a passionate software developer with over 5 years of experience specializing in front-end development. I've worked with a variety of clients to create user-friendly, efficient websites."
Ooh, that's a great example, Ben. It shows not only what you do, but also gives a little insight into your personality. That's what employers are looking for. They want to know who you are, what you bring to the table, and how you can contribute. Another good one is when they ask, "Why do you want to work here?" Instead of just saying, "I need a job," you can say something like, "I admire the company's mission to create innovative solutions for everyday problems, and I believe my skills in project management and leadership would be a great fit to help drive that mission forward." It's all about showing that you've done your research and that you're genuinely interested in the company.
Yes, and speaking of research, it's so important to do your homework before the interview. When you know the company's values, goals, and challenges, it gives you a huge advantage. You can even say something like, "I'm really impressed with the work you've done in sustainability, and I'd love to be a part of that vision, especially in a role where I can contribute my marketing expertise."
Exactly, Ben. That's the kind of response that shows initiative and real interest. But a lot of people get nervous during interviews, and they end up stumbling over their words or using filler words like or like. That's something we should definitely touch on too.
Oh man, for real. Those filler words can totally throw you off track. A good tip for that is to take a pause. It's totally okay to take a pause for a second and gather your thoughts before answering. It makes you seem more confident and thoughtful instead of rushing through your response.
Totally, Ben. And another common mistake people make is answering in a monotone voice. You want to vary your tone to show enthusiasm. If you're talking about something exciting, let that come through in your voice. If you're explaining something more technical, be clear and confident, but still try to keep that energy up.
Yes, and when you're asked about your strengths, don't just say, "I'm a hard worker." That's too generic. You can say something like, "I'm extremely detail-oriented and pride myself on delivering high-quality work even under tight deadlines." For example, last year, I was able to successfully complete a complex project ahead of schedule by organizing the tasks into manageable steps and collaborating closely with my team. That shows exactly how you're hardworking, and it gives a concrete example that makes your answer more impactful.
Great point, Ben. Examples really do help. And for weaknesses, it's important to be honest, but also show how you're actively working on improving. Like, instead of saying, "I'm bad at public speaking," you could say, "Public speaking is something I've been working on improving. I've taken a few courses and volunteered for presentations, and I'm definitely becoming more comfortable with it." That shows self-awareness and growth.
Oh, I love that, Emma. And you know, another phrase that's super useful is when they ask you about handling difficult situations. You want to show that you can stay calm and think critically under pressure. A good way to answer that is, when faced with challenges, I like to break the problem down into smaller, manageable parts. For example, in my last role, I had to deal with a client's last-minute changes, but by keeping communication clear and organized, we were able to meet the deadline without compromising quality.
Exactly, Ben. Showing how you handle stress and problem solving is key. And speaking of stress, one of the most common questions in interviews is, how do you handle stress? It's a great opportunity to show how you manage your workload and keep calm under pressure. A solid answer could be, I manage stress by staying organized and prioritizing tasks. When I have multiple projects, I break them down into smaller tasks and focus on one thing at a time. That shows you're not only self-aware, but also proactive.
Totally. And it's not just about the words you say, but how you say them. You want to make sure you're making eye contact, sitting up straight, and giving a firm handshake when you greet the interviewer. Body language speaks volumes.
For sure, Ben. I mean, that's a big part of communication, too. You want to come across as confident and approachable, right? Body language can say a lot about your personality even before you speak.
All right, Emma. I think we've covered some solid phrases and tips for the interview. But before we wrap up this part, let's quickly go over a few common mistakes people make, just to make sure everyone's on track.
All right, let's dive into some of the most common mistakes people make in interviews. One thing I see a lot is not preparing enough. It's easy to think, oh, I got this, but being unprepared can seriously hurt your chances. You should always be ready with answers for the usual questions like, why should we hire you? Or what makes you a good fit for this role? If you're caught off guard, it shows that you're not really taking the interview seriously.
Oh, totally, Emma. And another huge mistake is not having questions to ask at the end. The interview's a two-way street, right? It's not just about them asking you questions, it's also about you showing that you're genuinely interested in the company and the role. Not asking questions can make you look like you're not invested.
Yes, exactly. So you should always have a few questions ready to go. You could ask things like, what's the team culture like here? Or how do you measure success in this role? It shows that you're thinking long term and you care about the company's values and work environment.
Definitely. And don't forget to be punctual. I mean, showing up on time is a basic, but you'd be surprised how many people miss that. Being late, not a good look. It gives off the impression that you're unreliable, even if that's not true.
Ugh, don't even get me started on that one, Ben. It's such a simple thing, but it can totally make or break you. Being early shows you're eager and organized. Plus, it gives you some time to calm your nerves and get settled before the interview starts.
Another thing that can mess up an interview is not knowing the company or the role well enough. I mean, if they ask, what do you know about our company, and you can't even mention their main product or service, that's a red flag.
Yeah, for real. You need to know their mission, values, and what they're all about. You should research the company before the interview so you can show them that you're not just looking for any job, but that you're really interested in this job with this company. It shows that you've done your homework and you're serious about the opportunity.
Right? And another big one is bad-mouthing previous employers. I know it can be tempting, especially if you had a tough time at a previous job, but it's never a good idea to talk badly about your old boss or colleagues.
Oh man, yes. It just makes you look petty and unprofessional. Instead of focusing on the negatives, try to focus on what you learned from the experience and how you've grown. That shows maturity and emotional intelligence.
Exactly. And while we're on the topic of emotional intelligence, it's also super important to stay calm and collected, even when things get a little stressful. Sometimes the interviewer will try to throw you off with a tough question, but if you can stay cool under pressure, you're showing that you're capable of handling stressful situations in the workplace.
For real, Ben. I mean, stress is part of any job, so they want to see how you'll deal with it. If you can handle those tough moments with grace, it's a big plus. Just take a deep breath, gather your thoughts, and answer confidently.
And let's not forget about the follow-up, Emma. So many people skip this part, but it's such an easy way to stand out. After the interview, send a thank you email. It's polite, it shows appreciation, and it gives you a chance to remind them why you're a great fit.
Yes, yes, yes. A thank you email is crucial. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a simple note thanking them for their time, expressing your enthusiasm for the role, and reiterating why you're excited about the opportunity. It's a great way to keep your name fresh in their mind.
Totally, Emma. And don't overdo it either. It's important to show gratitude, but you don't want to come off as desperate. Keep it professional and genuine.
Exactly. All right, so now that we've covered some of the most common mistakes, let's talk about some phrases and vocabulary that will make you sound more professional during your interview.
All right, let's kick things off with some super important phrases that you'll definitely want to use during your interview. One of the first things you'll be asked is, tell me about yourself. And you don't want to just say, I'm John and I like to play video games. Instead, you could say something like, I'm an experienced project manager with a background in leading cross-functional teams to deliver complex projects on time. I've worked with clients in the tech industry and have developed a strong ability to adapt to changing requirements and deadlines.
I love that. See, it's all about showcasing your experience and strengths without sounding like you're reading off a script. You want to personalize it to reflect who you are, but still keep it professional. And, you want to follow up with, I'm really excited about this opportunity because it aligns perfectly with my skills and career goals. That'll really show them that you're genuinely interested.
For sure. And then when they ask you about your strengths, you want to make sure you're giving them concrete examples. Instead of just saying, I'm a hard worker, you can say, I'm extremely detail-oriented, and I've successfully led teams to meet tight deadlines by focusing on clear communication and prioritization. For example, in my last role, I led a project that was behind schedule, but by reorganizing the timeline and delegating tasks more efficiently, we were able to complete it ahead of time.
Great point, Ben. You're not just telling them you're good at something, you're showing them with an example. That's key. And when they ask about your weaknesses, don't panic. You should never say something like, I don't have any weaknesses. That's a red flag. Instead, be honest, but make sure you're showing how you're working on improving. Something like, I've noticed that I can sometimes be too focused on the details, which can slow me down, but I've been working on balancing that with a bigger picture perspective, and I'm making progress every day.
Oh man, for real, that's a smart move. You're being real, but you're also showing that you're self-aware and proactive about it. They love that. And speaking of weaknesses, another thing to avoid is giving a generic answer like, I'm a perfectionist. I mean, we've all heard that one a million times, right? It doesn't really say anything about you.
Exactly. It's all about being authentic and specific. And when it comes to talking about your achievements, don't be shy. It's totally fine to brag a little. In fact, you should. Just make sure you're framing it in a way that shows how your accomplishments benefit the team or company. So instead of saying, I sold a lot of products last year, you could say, I increased sales by 20% in my department last year by implementing a new marketing strategy that focused on customer feedback and targeted promotions.
I'm loving these examples, Emma. They really make you sound like a pro. Now, let's talk about some of the more casual questions that might come up, like when they ask, why do you want to work here? You don't want to sound like you're just trying to get any job. You want to show that you're genuinely excited about the company. You could say, I've been following your company for a while and really admire your commitment to innovation. I'm particularly excited about your new project on sustainable technology, and I'd love to contribute my expertise to help you achieve your goals.
Exactly. That shows you've done your homework and that you're aligned with their values and mission. It's not just about what they can do for you, it's about what you can do for them. And when it comes to answering questions about teamwork, you want to highlight how well you work with others. For example, you could say, I thrive in a team environment and I believe in open communication. In my last job, I worked closely with my team to develop a new system that improved our workflow and made us more efficient.
Yes, Emma, teamwork is so important. And when they ask about handling stress, you don't want to go with, I can't handle stress. Instead, say something like, I handle stress by staying organized and prioritizing my tasks. When things get hectic, I make a to-do list and break everything down into manageable steps so I stay on track.
I love that. Stress management is key in any job, and showing that you have strategies in place makes you sound like someone who can handle challenges head on. And it's also important to show enthusiasm during the interview. You don't want to sound too passive or bored. Make sure you're engaged, leaning forward a little, nodding, and making eye contact. That body language says a lot.
For sure, body language speaks volumes. It's like the unspoken part of the interview. If you're sitting there slouched with your arms crossed, it's not going to make a good impression. But if you're sitting up straight, smiling, and nodding along, it shows that you're engaged and interested.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope all of these tips are helping you feel more prepared for your next interview. Let's quickly recap some of the vocabulary and phrases that you can take with you. First off, remember to introduce yourself in a clear and professional way. I'm a job title with experience in field is a great place to start.
Yes, and don't forget to show enthusiasm when you talk about the company and the role. Do your homework, know their mission, and make sure you're connecting your skills with what they need. It's all about demonstrating that you're a great fit.
Exactly, Ben. And remember, when talking about your strengths, give specific examples of how you've achieved success in the past. Same goes for weaknesses. Be honest, but show that you're actively working on them.
And don't shy away from bragging a little. Talk about your achievements, but always tie them back to how they benefit the team or the company. You've got this, and you want them to know that.
Totally. Oh, and one thing I can't stress enough. Follow up. Send a thank you email after the interview to show your appreciation and remind them why you're the perfect fit for the role.
Yes, yes, yes. A thank you email goes a long way. It's a small gesture, but it really shows that you're professional and thoughtful.
Before we wrap up, let's go over a couple of things to avoid. Don't be late, don't badmouth previous employers, and please avoid using filler words like or like.
And don't forget to stay calm. If you get nervous, just take a deep breath, pause for a second, and answer thoughtfully. That shows confidence.
Exactly. And remember, interviews are a two-way street. It's not just about impressing them, it's also about finding out if the company and the role are a good fit for you. So don't be afraid to ask questions and engage with them.
Totally. And I know interviews can be nerve-wracking, but just keep practicing, stay confident, and remember that you've got this.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope these tips help you land that dream job. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Good luck out there.
Good luck, guys. You've got this. See you next time.